Good morning. May 19th, 2026, 8:44 a.m. This episode of Seeing with Seers is for entertainment purposes only. For your entertainment viewing pleasure. The Divine Channel message on this glorious morning is the educational version. I've clearly stated what tribe that I rock with. Out of the Lion, the tribe of Judah. A lot of people don't know the star seeds, the chosen, the oracles, which tribe they belong to. Because in New Jerusalem, there is 12 gates for the 12 tribes. Let the informational, educational experience begin.
There were 12 tribes of Israel. They know the names, some of them. Judah, because Jesus came from Judah. Benjamin, because Paul came from Benjamin. Levi, the priests. Maybe Dan, Naphtali, Gad, if they've read carefully. But ask most Christians what those 12 tribes actually represent, what each one means, what each one was prophesied to become, what each one points to in the New Testament, and you will get a blank stare, because nobody told them. And that is one of the most significant gaps in biblical literacy you can have, because the 12 tribes of Israel are not just a genealogical record. They are not just an ancient national census. They are 12 portraits of God's people. 12 windows into the character of the redeemed. 12 prophecies embedded in the names, the blessings, and the destiny of 12 sons. Here's what changes everything. When Jacob, the man God renamed Israel, gathered his 12 sons on his deathbed, he did not just reminisce. He prophesied. Over each son, one by one, he spoke words that would define each tribe for thousands of years. And when you line up those 12 prophecies against the 12 tribes' actual history, against the territory each tribe inherited, against the role each tribe played in the biblical story, and then against the 12 gates of the New Jerusalem in Revelation, a pattern emerges that is one of the most precisely designed things in the entire Bible. 12 sons, 12 tribes, 12 prophecies, and one story they all tell together. Before we go tribe by tribe, we need to understand the structure. Jacob had 12 sons by 4 women: Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah. The birth order mattered. The mother mattered. The name each child received mattered. In the ancient world, names were not aesthetic choices. They were statements of identity, prophetic declarations, theological positions. And then there is the complexity most people miss. The 12 tribes listed in different parts of the Bible are not always the same 12. In Genesis, the 12 sons of Jacob are Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Joseph, and Benjamin. But when the tribes receive their land inheritance in Joshua, Levi is removed. Because the Levites received no land, they received God himself as their inheritance. And Joseph is split into 2 tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, his 2 sons, to maintain the count of 12. And in Revelation chapter 7, the list changes again. Dan is missing entirely. Joseph appears instead of Ephraim, Manasseh is listed, and Levi is back. Here's what most people miss about these variations. The 12 tribes are not a fixed mathematical formula. They are a living theological picture that shifts depending on what God is emphasizing at each point in the story. In the wilderness, 12 camps surrounding the tabernacle. In the land, 12 territories. In the eternal city, 12 gates. The number 12 is never accidental in Scripture. It is always the number of God's complete covenant people. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through every major tribe, their name, their patriarch, their blessing from Jacob, their role in Israel's history and what they represent. And at the end, we'll see what all 12 together are pointing toward. 12 tribes, one people. Let's go in order. Firstborn, unstable as water, lost what he should have had. Reuben is the firstborn. He should have had everything in the double portion, the leadership, the blessing of the firstborn. He didn't get any of it. Jacob's prophecy over Reuben in Genesis 49 is one of the most painful assessments of any of the 12. Unstable as water, you will no longer excel, because you went up to your father's bed and defiled it. Reuben had slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine. One act of uncontrolled passion cost him everything that should have been his by birth. Here's what most people miss about Reuben. He does appear one more time in the story. At the moment when his brothers are about to sell Joseph into slavery, it is Reuben who says, "Let's not kill him. Let's throw him into a cistern." His plan was to come back later and rescue Joseph. He was trying to do the right thing, but he was too late, too indirect, too passive. By the time he returned, Joseph was already sold. Reuben represents the tragedy of potential without discipline. His tribe settled east of the Jordan, outside the main land, and largely disappears from the biblical narrative. Never a king, never a major prophet. The firstborn who never became what firstborns were meant to become. Brothers in violence, divided in Jacob, separated in purpose. After their sister Dinah was violated by Shechem, Simeon and Levi deceived the men of the city into circumcising themselves, then attacked while they were recovering and killed every male. Jacob rebuked them not for caring about Dinah, but for the indiscriminate violence. "You have brought trouble on me." His prophecy, "I will scatter them in Israel." And Simeon was scattered by absorption. The tribe of Simeon was given cities within Judah's territory and gradually merged into Judah. Levi was scattered by calling. The Levites received no territory. Instead, they were distributed across all of Israel, 48 cities among all the 12 tribes, to serve as priests, teachers, and guardians of the covenant. Scattered, but with purpose. Scattered because God himself was their inheritance. At the incident of the golden calf, while the rest of Israel worshipped the idol, it was the Levites who responded to Moses' call and stood with God, even against their own family members. That same fierce loyalty that was once destructive was now channeled toward holiness. The tribe that was cursed for uncontrolled violence became the tribe entrusted with the sanctuary of God. Same character, redirected purpose. Judah is the fourth son of Leah, but the fourth who becomes first. Reuben forfeited leadership through immorality. Simeon and Levi forfeited it through violence. The double portion of Joseph is already spoken for. That leaves Judah. And what Jacob speaks over Judah is the most significant prophecy in the entire deathbed scene. Judah, your brothers will praise you. Your hand will be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons will bow down to you. You are a lion's cub. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until he to whom it belongs shall come, and the obedience of the nations shall be his. Here's what most people miss about this prophecy. The phrase, "until he to whom it belongs shall come," is one of the earliest messianic prophecies in the Bible.
Told
David
you.
came from Judah. Solomon came from Judah. The entire royal line of Israel came from Judah, and Jesus, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, came from Judah. The tribe of Judah is the tribe of kings. and its final king has not abdicated. In Revelation, the one who is worthy to open the scroll is called the Lion of the tribe of Judah. The prophecy Jacob spoke in a dying breath is still being fulfilled in the eternal throne room. A raw-boned donkey, burdened but willing. The tribe that knew the times. Jacob's prophecy over Issachar is unusual. A raw-boned donkey lying between two saddlebags. He sees that his resting place is good and that his land is pleasant. So he will bend his shoulder to the burden and submit to forced labor. In 1 Chronicles, describing David's mighty men, the tribe of Issachar is described as men who understood the times and knew what Israel should do. Issachar represents wisdom, the kind that comes from stability, from staying in one place long enough to understand the season. Not glamorous, not military, not priestly, but essential. The people who know what time it is and what the moment requires. Zebulun will live by the seashore and become a haven for ships. Zebulun's territory in the north of Israel became the crossroads of the ancient world. The major trade routes between Egypt and Mesopotamia passed through Zebulun's territory. The region of Zebulun and Naphtali is specifically cited in Isaiah 9 as the place where the great light would appear. And Matthew quotes this exactly when describing Jesus settling in Capernaum and beginning his Galilean ministry. Jesus based his entire public ministry in the territory of Zebulun and Naphtali. The gateway tribe became the threshold through which the light of the world entered the world's attention. Dan will provide justice for his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan will be a snake by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heels so that its rider tumbles backward. Dan was promised to be a judge, and the most famous judge in Israel, Samson, came from Dan. But Dan is also the tribe that disappears from the Revelation 7 list, completely absent. Dan was the first tribe to fall into idolatry. In Judges 18, the tribe of Dan migrated north and established its own priests and its own idols, a competing worship system that persisted for centuries. And it was in Dan, the northern city, that Jeroboam erected one of his two golden calves when Israel divided. The tribe of Dan represents the danger of spiritual independence, of taking your God-given gifts and redirecting them away from God. Dan had the strength of a judge and used it to build a rival altar. Some theologians have suggested that Dan's absence from Revelation 7 is connected to this persistent idolatry. The tribe that was meant to provide justice became the tribe that provided an alternative to the God of Israel. A doe set free. Beautiful words. Naphtali is a doe set free who bears beautiful fawns, short, evocative, and fulfilled in an unexpected way. The territory of Naphtali, north of the Sea of Galilee, was the region where Jesus spent most of his public ministry. And a doe set free bearing beautiful fawns becomes a striking image of the liberation the gospel brought to a people who had been in darkness. The beautiful words that came from Naphtali's territory were the Sermon on the Mount, the parables by the sea, the healings in Capernaum, the most beautiful words ever spoken in Naphtali's land. Raiders will raid him, but he will raid at their heels. Gad settled east of the Jordan, exposed territory, frontier land, the tribe that chose the harder ground and had to fight for it continuously. Gad represents the people of God who are always attacked from behind, who face setback after setback, but who never stop pursuing. Raiders will come, but Gad will be at their heels. The posture is not defensive, it is relentlessly forward. Rich food, royal delicacies, the tribe of abundance. Asher received the most fertile coastal territory of all the tribes, the western coastal plain north of Carmel, famous in the ancient world for its olive oil production. Asher represents God's abundant provision, the tribe that demonstrates that the covenant people are not meant to live in perpetual scarcity. The prophetess Anna, who recognized Jesus in the temple at his presentation as an infant, came from the tribe of Asher. The the tribe of royal delicacies sent a woman of prayer who recognized the ultimate king when he arrived as a baby. Joseph receives the longest, richest blessing of all 12 sons. A fruitful vine near a spring whose branches climb over a wall. Archers attacked him bitterly. With hostility they shot at him. But his bow remained steady. His strong arms stayed limber because of the hand of the mighty one of Jacob. Joseph is the clearest type of Christ in the entire Old Testament. Beloved son of his father, stripped of his coat, thrown into a pit, sold for silver, falsely accused, imprisoned, forgotten, and then exalted to the right hand of the throne, where he became the savior of the world that rejected him. His brothers came to him in famine, did not recognize him, and bowed before him exactly as his dreams had predicted. And Joseph, who had every right to destroy them, said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph himself never became a tribe. His tribe was split into Ephraim and Manasseh, his two sons, whom Jacob adopted as his own. Ephraim the younger was given the greater blessing. Jacob crossed his hands to give the right hand blessing to the younger, not the older. Ephraim became the dominant tribe of the northern kingdom, so dominant that the entire northern kingdom was sometimes simply called Ephraim. Joseph, the man who was thrown into the pit so his brothers could be saved, generated the two largest tribes. The suffering produced the abundance, a ravenous wolf. Morning and evening, Benjamin was the youngest, the last son of Rachel, the beloved wife, born on the road to Bethlehem. Rachel died giving birth to him. Benjamin's tribe was fierce, the tribe of warriors, the tribe of left-handed slingers famous for their precision. Saul, the first king of Israel, came from Benjamin. The apostle Paul came from Benjamin. And Paul explicitly mentions it as a mark of his Jewish credentials. And Benjamin's territory included Jerusalem, the city where the temple would be built, the ravenous wolf who divided the plunder, the tribe that hosted the house of God. Pull back. Look at all 12 together. What did these 12 tribes, in their variety and their complexity, tell us about the people of God? They tell us that God's covenant community is not a monolith. It is not a uniform, identical, interchangeable collection of people. It contains the disqualified firstborn, Reuben, who represents all of us who have forfeited our natural inheritance through failure, and who must receive what we cannot earn. It contains the violently zealous who are transformed, Levi, the ones whose fierceness is redirected by grace into something holy rather than something destructive. It contains the kings and the lions, Judah, the governing authority from which the ultimate king descends. It contains the wise and the timely, Issachar, the people who know what season it is. It contains the gateways, Zebulun, the people positioned at the intersection of nations where the light of the world enters. It contains the judges who fell into idolatry, Dan, the warning embedded within the community. It contains the ones who speak beautiful words, Naphtali, the teachers and the poets of the gospel. It contains the frontier fighters, Gad, always at their heels, never giving up. It contains the abundant providers, Asher, who produce the richness that sustains the community. It contains the suffering servant who saves, Joseph, the type of Christ embedded within his own people. It contains the fierce lastborn who hosts the house of God, Benjamin. They are not 12 separate stories. They are one story told 12 ways. That is not just the story of Israel. That is the story of every person who has ever been grafted into the covenant community through faith. You are in this story. The question is, which tribe's pattern most resonates with your own? Here is the pattern most people never see. The 12 tribes don't end with Joshua's land allocation. They end with John's vision in Revelation. In Revelation 7, 144,000 people are sealed from the 12 tribes of Israel, 12,000 from each tribe. And in Revelation 21, The New Jerusalem has 12 gates, one for each tribe of Israel, with each tribe's name inscribed on a gate. The tribes don't disappear in the New Testament, they arrive. Every person, Jew and Gentile, who enters the eternal city enters through one of 12 gates. Each gate bears the name of one of the 12 sons of Jacob. The man who was a deceiver became Israel. The father of 12 dysfunctional sons became the namesake of 12 gates into the city of God, and the city has 12 foundations, inscribed with the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. 12 tribes, 12 apostles. The Old Covenant community and the New Covenant community together form the complete structure of the eternal dwelling place of God. You may not be able to trace your genealogy to any of the 12 tribes, but if you belong to Christ, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, then by adoption, you are a child of Israel. You are part of the covenant community that these 12 tribes represent. God did not choose 12 perfect men. He chose 12 complicated ones, and through them, without their cooperation and often despite their interference, he brought the Lion of Judah into the world. That is the pattern. And once you see it, you will never read the word Israel the same way again. If this video helped you see the 12 tribes as more than a genealogy list, if you'll never read the 12 tribes of Israel the same way again, share this with someone in your church or Bible study. This is the kind of biblical context that changes how you read Genesis, Joshua, the Gospels, and Revelation. We've already gone deep on every covenant God made, every angel in the Bible, every letter Paul wrote, and why Isaiah's 66 chapters unlock the entire Bible. Every video connects. Every thread runs somewhere. 12 sons, 12 tribes, 12 gates, one story, and it ends with your name on a gate in the city of God. Subscribe, and we'll keep going deeper.
Amen. Amen. Amen.